Heard that. Feeling precious about which one gets in the shot.
Hang on a sec. You either need to go away or come in a bit closer.
We mean business. In the front, party in the back.
I read flies in Central Australia.
Me to weld.
Wells.
Yep.
And then open it up.
Yeah. And open up and say, I make the equipment. Yep, no worries. You all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Wait up, I haven't turned my welder on.
What line have I got to give you? I roll my sleeves up, get the job done.
I never roll my sleeves up, and I still get the job done. And I've got the guns. Don't worry about that.
It's awesome.
Oh, Lord. Heard that.
Start again.
It might be wise to do that whole thing again, but I don't know if you noticed it, but I had a fly in my arm.
What do you reckon?
You tuck me in where you stay. It's one of his famous lines, two-man job.
Two-man job.
Okay. So, what line do you want out of me?
No, that was all over. Do you remember the line?
He's okay.
Yeah, all right. Go. Hat straight, glasses straight.
You know what your line is?
No.
Do you want to do mine?
Look at the monitor.
Same. Yeah, we're all looking the wrong way. You got a fly on your lens.
Where about?
It's gone now.
It's bright, isn't it?
3, 2, 1, action!
Heard that.
After me.
I'm not experienced like you.
It's a statement or a question? Heard that.
Statement.
Heard that. And keeping it serious. Getting serious. Get serious, Greg.
And I fight the good fight.
So where's the actual lens? What am I? Oh, here. Look at it down.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. It's falling out.
What are you doing then?
No.
He's getting you one for the bloopers.
NT cattle industry is about more than just the cattle. Lots of Territorians directly and indirectly rely on the cattle industry. The cattle industry drives the economy and spans the entire Northern Territory, all 1.4 million square kilometres of it. That takes a lot of committed people, including all our regional centres, and covers a lot of open ground. Our regions are the lifeblood of the Territory, and they rely on the cattle industry. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
I muster the cattle. I load the trucks.
And I keep the industry moving.
I fly the helicopter.
I run the book and Mum's taxi.
And they cook it to perfection.
The NT cattle industry is worth $1.2 billion a year and supports over 10,000 jobs directly and indirectly. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
Heard that. Feeling precious about the which one gets in the shot.
Hang on a sec. You either need to go away or come in a bit closer.
We mean business in the front, party in the back.
What about just we'll just shoot some flies so they're not on your face.
Good luck with that one.
I read flies in Central Australia.
With a weld.
Wells.
Yep.
And then open it up.
And open up and say, no, mate, the equipment. Yeah, no worries. You all right?
Yeah, we're good.
Wait up, I haven't turned my welder on.
What line have I got to give you? I roll my sleeves up and get the job done.
I never roll my sleeves up, and I still get the job done. And I've got the guns. Don't worry about that.
It's awesome. Oh, heard that.
Try it again.
It might be wise to do that whole thing again, but I don't know if you noticed it, but I had a fly in my arm.
What do you reckon?
You tuck me in
where you stay.
It's one of his famous lines, two-man job.
Two-man job.
So, what line do you want out of me?
Heard that.
No, that was all over.
Do you remember the line?
He's okay.
Yeah, all right. Go.
Hat straight, glasses straight.
You know what your line is?
No. Do you want to do mine?
Look at the monitor.
Same. Yeah, we're all looking the wrong way. You got a fly on your lens.
Whereabouts?
It's gone now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh, that is bright, isn't it?
3, 2, 1, action.
Heard that.
After me.
I'm not experienced like you.
It's a statement or a question? Heard that.
Statement.
Heard that. And keeping it serious. Getting serious. Get serious, Greg.
And I fight the good fight.
So where's the actual lens? What am I? Oh, here. Look, he's looking down.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. It's falling out.
What are you doing then?
No.
He's getting you one for the bloopers.
The NT cattle industry is about more than just the cattle. Lots of Territorians directly and indirectly rely on the cattle industry. The cattle industry drives the economy and spans the entire Northern Territory, all 1.4 million square kilometres of it. That takes a lot of committed people, including all our regional centres, and covers a lot of open ground. Our regions are the lifeblood of the Territory, and they rely on the cattle industry. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
I muster the cattle. I load the trucks.
And I keep the industry moving.
I fly the helicopter.
I run the book and Mum's taxi.
And they cook it to perfection.
The NT cattle industry is worth $1.2 billion a year and supports over 10,000 jobs directly and indirectly. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
Heard that. Feeling precious about which one gets in the shot.
Hang on a sec. You either need to go away or come in a bit closer.
We mean business in the front, party in the back.
Or but just we'll just shoot some flies so they're not on your face.
Good luck with that one.
I breed flies in Central Australia.
Me to weld. Yep.
And then open.
And open up and saying I make the equipment. Yep, no worries. You alright?
Yeah, we're good.
Wait up, I haven't turned my welder on.
What line have I got to give you? I roll my sleeves up and get the job done.
I never roll my sleeves up, and I still get the job done. And I've got the guns. Don't worry about that.
That's awesome. Heard that.
Try it again.
It might be wise to do that whole thing again, but I don't know if you noticed it, but I had a fly in my arm.
What do you reckon?
You tuck me in with your Steve.
Two-man job.
It's one of his famous lines, two-man job.
Two-man job.
So, what line do you want out of me?
Heard that. Sorry, guys.
No, that was all over.
Do you remember the line?
He's okay.
Yeah, all right. Go. Hat straight, glasses straight.
You know what your line is?
No.
Do you want to do mine?
I'm looking at the monitor.
Same. Yeah, we're all looking the wrong way.
You got a fly on your lens.
Where about?
It's gone now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh gosh, that is bright, isn't it?
3, 2, 1,
Action. Heard that.
After me.
I'm not experienced like you.
It's a statement or a question? Heard that.
Heard that. And keeping it serious. Getting serious. Get serious, Greg.
And I fight the good fight.
So where's the actual lens? What am I? Oh, here. Look, he's looking down.
sorry.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. It's falling out.
What are you doing then?
No?
He's getting you one for the bloopers.
The NT cattle industry is about more than just the cattle. Lots of Territorians directly and indirectly rely on the cattle industry. The cattle industry drives the economy and spans the entire Northern Territory, all 1.4 million square kilometres of it. That takes a lot of committed people, including all our regional centres, and covers a lot of open ground. Our regions are the lifeblood of the Territory, and they rely on the cattle industry. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
Okay, hello everyone. Salma Hilman, can you listen me?
Yes, I can listen.
Okay, so my sound is good, right?
Good, good.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for all the participants who have joined in the Zoom now. Before we start our opening, I want to read some rules from the participant on. Please kindly turn it off if your microphone or audio still on, because the audio will only be on for the keynote speaker and the MC. And also the microphone or audio will be on for the participant who wants to deliver a question to keynote speaker. Okay. Well, I will check. Okay, because I think the participant already increased and the keynote speaker already here also, I will open the webinar today. So hello everyone, good morning. Hopefully all of you in good condition, and also because we are still in pandemic situation, I hope you guys are keeping social distancing, wearing mask and washing your hand frequently. And today is my pleasure to be MC and moderator for this webinar today, which is the last webinar from the series of NTCA. And as you are initially the moderator, is Miss Febrina, but unfortunately she is unavailable, so it's my pleasure to be moderator now. Okay, for introduce myself, my name is Atin Shahnuratin. You can call me Atin. And I'm also the alumni for NEPP in 2015, I think 5 years ago. And for the first, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you and the honorable speaker for today. Okay, before we start, I'm really appreciate you taking time off your busy schedule to join in this webinar. And I hope today you will learn a lot of with our topic and with our keynote speaker. Okay. First, I would like to say thank you also to CBC Indonesia Foundation and Northern Territory Cattlemen Association to organize this event, and also the anti-government and ISP, Indonesian Society of Animal Science. And this webinar today is the last series, right? From the previous webinar on Monday and Tuesday. And this webinar, a webinar from the NTCA in conjunction with Study NT and the CBC Indonesia. And also the webinar is part of AI, STIPA, Indonesia, Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. Well, I think since we have a representation from NTCA, Northern Territory Cattle Association, Ms. Stephanie Franken as Project Manager at NTCA. Hi, Stephanie.
Hey, good morning.
Yeah, I'm Atin, Stephanie. How are you?
Well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm great also. Okay, Stephanie, would you like to welcoming statement for everyone here?
Yeah, I can do. So
Okay,
first, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in over the past 3 days. We've seen some great participation and some great questions from all the participants. So as we've already heard, that the NTCA, with the help of Study NT and the CBC Indonesia, have put together this webinar series for people interested in the IASEPA Business Connect for 2020. So this webinar today, we are catching up with Hugh Dawson, Brooke Barkler, and Pete Negorio, all working within the live export supply chain. So I'd like to thank them for taking the time to present to you guys today. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat bar and we can come back to them at the end of the session. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Suprani. There's interesting speech, and you introduced a little bit introduced about our keynote speaker today. Okay, well, before we go into the main webinar and join in the keynote speaker presenting, now we already have first speaker who joining with us. I'd like to introduce Mr. Hugh Dawson. Are you here, Mr. Hugh?
Yeah, good morning. Morning, Etienne. How are you going?
Yeah. Hi, good morning. Yeah, I'm good. Also, where are you now? Are you in station?
Yeah, so I'm just at the house here now. I'm on a property called Beetaloo Station. We're about 800 kilometres south of Darwin and north of Alice Springs, so right in the middle of the Northern Territory.
Okay. Thank you. I say hello first to you, and the second our Brooke keynote speaker is Brooke. Hi, Brooke.
Hi,
Brooke.
It's lovely to be on here today to talk about the supply chain. Can you hear me?
Yes, but a little voice. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So there is our keynote speaker for today. With our topic is about the red meat and cattle industry supply chain. So everyone, because we already have first our keynote speaker. So Mr. Dawson have a great experience as head stockman in Beetaloo Station, Northern Territory. So all right, your time is 5 minutes. 5 minutes to presentation, and I will let you know when only have 3 minutes left. So are you ready for your presentation?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you will share screen by yourself or with the host of CBC Indonesia?
Yep, I don't know how to work Zoom. I'm pretty bad at that.
Okay. I've got Hugh's video, so I can play Hugh's video. I have Hugh's video presentation. Yep, I can share that.
Okay.
Okay.
I like to get up before the sun. It's a pretty nice time of the day. And then I guess this time of year it's sort of making sure we're on top of everything, moving a few mobs of cattle around if we need to. G'day, my name's Hugh Dawson. I'm 22 years old. I'm working on a remote cattle station. Beetaloo Station is about 8 hours from both Darwin and Alice Springs. We run a herd of about 80,000 Brahman, and the majority of them get sold to live export markets overseas. I grew up on it was a pretty small hobby farm, I guess, an hour south of Adelaide. Dad was still is a winemaker, and Mum's a nurse. At the moment, the managers and owners are away, which means it's just myself and Huey. So there's a huge responsibility that goes with that, you know. Like there's no one, you can't call anyone, a 22-year-old running a cattle station is a pretty frightening thing to think about. But yeah, I'm pretty confident that we're doing an all right job of it. Huey is our leading hand here at Beetaloo, so I think it just goes to show that you can form some pretty incredible, like, lifelong friendships up here, and with people that you might not have otherwise met or tolerated.
Yeah, me and Hugh, we get along really well, and we've been working together for a couple of years now, and every day is different, every day is challenging.
So we operate over about 2.6 million acres, which is just a touch over 1 million hectares. So it's a fair bit of country for us to cover. When we're mustering, it's just reading your cattle, understanding where you need to be. So I do like our Brahman herd. I think they're very curious. They've got a really nice personality. As Slim Dusty said, you know, it's something you take a lot of pride in, being a ringer from the top end. Staff retention in Northern Australia it's a pretty big issue for us. It's rare on a lot of places that, you know, you do get people returning even for a second year, let alone third and fourth year. It did have a real stigma about it that, you know, it's this rough and ready sort of cowboys running around everywhere. But I think we're becoming a really professional industry. The closest pub is about 140 kilometres away, so it's the best part of an hour and a half drive to get there. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting cross section of society once you get up there. Love life on a station. You need to talk to the developers of Tinder and get them to extend their range ring, I reckon. But you know, there's that opportunity to get into town every now and again, and yeah, hopefully one day. One day I'll find someone. I think once you sort of start spending a bit of time out here, it is something that plays on your mind a bit. The future for me is interesting. When I started out, yeah, it was meant to be a gap year. And I guess going into my 5th gap year now, Mum and Dad are sort of starting to realise that maybe there is more in it. I can't even really imagine where I'd be had I stayed at home. You know, I've got a lot of friends that have gone to universities, and after 5 years, they don't even have a bit of paper, but they've got 5 years of HECS. My dream job, I'd love to have my own cattle station. I think it's pretty nice, you know, not having your phone reception and Wi-Fi and things like that you've got in the luxuries in your southern states. You really do appreciate your surroundings. Every day is something different. You never know quite what you're going to expect.
Whoa. Whoa, it's a great video. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I remind you, we have 15 minutes to your presentation, and I will remind you if only have 3 minutes left. So time is yours, Hectorson.
No worries. Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me all right there? That's working?
Yeah.
Beautiful. No worries. So I guess that video is a nice little introduction into myself and what I do geographically where I am. So as I said before, I work on Beetaloo Station in the Northern Territory. We operate over 2.6 million acres, so that's a touch over 1 million hectares. We run a herd of about 80,000 head of cattle, and about 35 to 40,000 of those are breeders, so females. And from those breeders, we might brand 15 to 18,000 calves a year. So as those calves get old enough and heavy enough to sell, cattle will send over as feeders to Indonesia, and Indonesia is our predominant market. So I was going to talk a little bit on what we do on farm and how we breed our cattle and why we do what we do here, I suppose, to fit in with Indonesia and our market over there. So the number one thing for us is having a marketable commodity or an animal. So back when my bosses and managers, Jane and Scotty, sort of bought Beetaloo and were introduced into Northern Australia and the Northern Australian beef market. The first thing they did was went over to Indonesia and Vietnam, Malaysia, and went and met the people behind the feedlots and asked them person to person, what are you looking for in an animal? What do you want us to breed? And from that, you get a really personal relationship, and it's a direct connection, I suppose. From that, we found that there was absolutely a demand for Brahman, and that was sort of a given. But also there was a demand for crossbred cattle as well. Crossbred cattle at that stage were going into more supermarkets than wet markets, whereas your Brahmans stayed in your wet markets more so. When Jane and Scotty moved to Beetaloo, it was a very predominantly Brahman herd. So we introduced a breed of animal called a Senapole. It was, I suppose, developed in the Caribbean, so it's already a tropically acclimatised animal. And I suppose where we are in the territory, we are quite a tropical region ourselves. So it's really important when you do start to introduce crossbred cattle that they're going to be tropically acclimatised from a welfare standpoint on our property here, but also when they get overseas, they have to be able to perform in a really sound sort of way once they are in feedlots over there where it's a little bit warmer. So I suppose from there, the other thing we found was that Indonesia wanted antis, so bulls. Australia traditionally castrate all their male cattle. And so we sort of went, righto, well, if Indonesia and Vietnam want bulls, we won't castrate. And that was something that not many people were doing at the time. What that did was sort of set us apart and make us gave us a marketable animal, something that we could put forward and say, look, this is something different. This is what not many people are doing, and gave us a competitive edge, I suppose, over our other people in Australia. I think things we've learned from that, there has been a little bit of a resistance to crossbred cattle, but I think, as I was saying before, it really depends where you go. There are still places that do want to take those crossbred, but definitely sort of saying that, Brahman cattle are the preferred type, and we're reintroducing Brahman bulls in our herd so that we can continue to be a good fit for our market. So having those relationships, I suppose, just to get back to the fundamentals of why we're doing things, having the relationships with our in-market partners is definitely the front and center of sort of what we're doing. That's the most important thing. And then everything sort of falls in behind there. So I suppose, if you have any questions you'd like to look at more specifically, I'd be more than happy to answer them while we've got a little break there.
Okay, you're not presenting like the share screen or just discussion with us. Okay, well, it's so cool for such a young man like you who can manage the big number of the cattle in Beetaloo station, especially. It's really great, young man. So Hugh, that's so interesting about your story. And so about red meat and supply chain, as you know, this is officially in July, in 5th July, between Indonesia and Australia. And what do you think before and after EACPA is officially in this year? What your think about the agreement, this agreement? And as your head stockman, or have impact in your background as a head stockman in Beetaloo station?
Yeah, so I think with the IACPA, what that means for us as an industry is that there is, I suppose, a little bit more security there, but it means we can continue to develop those relationships. And like I said, going back to touching on what I was saying before, that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, is to keep fitting that, I suppose, the market demand but I think for young people in the industry, we've come into it at a bit of a difficult time. Obviously, with COVID and the pandemic, it makes it very difficult for us to travel. Having the ISC, but hopefully opens up a lot of channels like what we're doing right now, you know, to still have face-to-face connections and to keep forming those relationships and to keep the conversation going about, you know, the what we want to achieve out of it. So no, I think it's really exciting, and hopefully, you know, for the northern beef industry on a whole, it'll hold us in really good stead going forward.
Yes, I agree with you. Because this pandemic has been a challenge for everyone also. Okay, so everyone, if anyone wants to ask to Mr. Dawson, please drop your question in the Zoom group chat. If you want to ask directly in the Zoom, just on the video and on your microphone. So anyone want to ask to Mr. Hugh Dawson? Okay, well, because maybe everyone's still busy typing the question, I will ask my question, maybe question for me, like, so yes, I agree about this pandemic make a challenge for everyone, and there's with the ASA bring us to more corporate and related to understanding and awareness about our between Indonesia and Australia also, and red meat and cattle sector and supply chain is really more important in our business, right? Between Indonesia and Australia. So there's a question for Henry and G. For Hook, what specific opportunity do you see for you Indonesia? Hi Hook, there's a question in the group chat. What specific opportunity do you see for you in Indonesia?
For myself personally, or for the northern beef sector?
For you.
Yeah. So I think for myself, again, pandemic pending, the opportunity to travel over there and to start forming my own personal connections, I think is something that, you know, as on a personal level, it's an opportunity to travel, also to sort of meet new people, but to sort of start seeing where my career might line up in the live export industry, and where I can sort of start going from there. So definitely having the connection with Indonesia and Australia there is hopefully will channel that opportunity.
Okay, so thank you so much for your sharing about the information. We will. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jason, for your time to sharing. We will more answer the question, or we will get the other question from the other participant today, because maybe the other participants still making a question for you. So well, next we going to our second. I'm sorry. There's our second keynote speaker is Mr. Peter Nugroho, but unfortunately unavailable today. However, he already sent us a very interesting video, and maybe Stephanie will play the video for from the Mr. Peter Nugroho. So Stephanie, can you play the video from?
I'll bring the video up now.
Yeah.
If I can figure out, just give me 2 seconds. Sorry guys, I'm just learning how to use my computer.
Okay, so everyone, I will remind you, if you want to give question, don't forget to mention your name and where you come from and who the question you intend to ask. Yes. You can put the question in our group, in a Zoom group chat. Okay. Thank you.
Can you guys see the video now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
see.
Cool. So, good morning, Pete. Thanks for coming on board and joining us for this webinar series this morning. Yep. So, good morning, Pete. Thanks for coming on board and joining us for this webinar series this morning. So, my first question for you is, what made you decide to become a vet?
Thank you, Steph, and thank you for the opportunity. That is a good question, Steph. I think I remember when I was 6, I've always wanted to become a vet. I grew up with cats and dogs. I had chickens, I had birds, I had fish, and I had turtles as well in my house. And I think my parents supported me in having our own mini farm at home. And I think that's how I started thinking that I wanted to be a vet.
Oh, that's great. So, yeah, a passion with small animals and all of that. So, you studied at James Cook University here in Australia. How did you end up studying at James Cook? What was the process from studying high school in Indonesia to coming to Australia to study vet?
Yeah, it's interesting story actually, because as you know, I grew up in Jakarta, which is a big city, and it's probably the smallest city that I've lived before I went to Townsville in James Cook University. So I graduated high school from Jakarta there at 2010, and I basically applied to every vet school in Australia, and James Cook University was the first one to accept me, and I was reading a lot at James Cook University, and they had a lot of focus on I guess rural Australia and working with large animals, and I think that was what brought me to JCA.
So going from having small animals growing up to being exposed to horses, camels, cattle, you name it, all our big creatures over here in Australia, what was your initial thought?
I think it was a bit of a shock for me. And I guess when I was 6 years old, I didn't expect to be in this career pathway, working with livestock and working closely with producers and farmers. I always had this picture that I was working with small animals, with just cats and dogs. But it really opened my eyes, because I realized that the veterinary industry isn't just consists of dogs and cats. I think it opened my eyes because it's basically you're dealing with the interaction between animals and humans, and that's how I got exposed to the livestock industry, and also working with cattle, sheep, and goats and horses, because they have a lot of interaction with people.
That's cool. So you've been up here in Katherine in the Northern Territory for about 4 years now. How did you end up being a vet in Katherine?
Yeah, I think my parents always ask the same thing as well, all the time. But it is a bit of a journey. And I'm very grateful of it, because like I said, it opened up my eyes that that the veterinary industry is a bigger picture that I had in mind before. When I was at JCU, I had the opportunity to do placements or internships during my holidays, and I went to places like Cloncurry, Mount Isa, Moranbah, Longreach, and Katherine, so basically rural Queensland, rural Northern Territory there. And I met with a lot of people, a lot of farmers, worked in the cattle stations there. And when I was traveling up to Catherine to do my placements here, I met up with my current boss right now, and that's how I ended up in Catherine.
Oh, that's awesome. So, talk us through a normal day as a cattle vet within the Northern Territory. I'm assuming that involves a lot of travelling out to different stations because they're not close to town, are they?
No. So that was, again, one of the shocks that I had to, I guess, adapt. But you get to see a lot of beautiful country. I guess you can start off in the clinic in the morning, working with cats and dogs, and then horses would come in the clinic. But some days you can start in a cattle station about 500, 600 kilometers away from Catherine. And yeah, it's quite a different experience every day, being a vet up here in the outback.
So when you're out on the cattle stations, what are you out there doing? Why are the cattle stations bringing you out there?
Yeah, so as a private clinician working for Catherine Vet Care, which is a private clinic, we mostly work together with the producers. We do things like herd health. So we investigate diseases that can go through the herd. And we do a lot of reproductive analysis. So we do a lot of pregnancy diagnosis. So we can help the farmers and the producers make decision to ensure that the welfare of that animal is in good standing. For example, we pregnancy test cattle and segregate them into their different months of pregnancy. So we know that different months or different gestation periods may have different requirements, nutritional and also different living requirements. So they can make decisions based on that.
So the importance of animal health and welfare within the pasture industry, how important is that? What are your thoughts?
I think animal health and animal welfare is a priority, especially in this industry, because I think profitability and productivity and animal welfare is all interconnected. I think you can't have one of them without the other. So I do think animal health and animal welfare is playing an important role, if any, the most important role in this industry.
Yeah. So being a vet up here and with a number of the Northern Territory cattle going live export to Indonesia, what's your role within the supply chain?
I guess as we talked about in the supply chain, we work together at the farm level with the producers. We also work together with the government. We investigate significant diseases. So if there's big morbidities or mortalities in a herd, we investigate. We communicate with the producer. We communicate with the government, and it's one of the ways that we make sure that the cattle's welfare is in good standing, and also to assure that they are free diseases that can be harmful to Australia and also to Indonesia, or where they're destined to be. Yeah.
Nice.
And I think there's lots of places where vets play a role as well. You could see vets playing in the export yards, making sure that once the cattle reach at the export yards from the producers, they are checked again. And then when they go to the boat, there's a government vet there making sure the cattle load properly and they're all fit and healthy. And in the boats, there's also vets as well. So it's a really multi-stage role that we play in that industry.
Yeah, so the cattle are being checked up to 4 or 5 times before they're even arriving in Indonesia via vet, correct?
Yes, that's right. And again, that's why you can see that there's that shift that animal welfare is priority, and that's a part of the changes that we're improving on.
So what is your career highlight to date? What gets you out of bed every morning to be a vet? What are you most passionate about now working within this industry?
Yeah, I think, of course, the animals. I think you can't find any resilient living being in this world from animals. So basically, we are learning from the animals we see every day. That's a highlight of my life. But also, I think moving out to the outback and meeting producers, meeting the families involved in the industry, exporters, the agents, makes you want to wake up because you're learning a lot from these people. You're meeting new people that are passionate as well in livestock and in maintaining that welfare of the animals. And yeah, I think that's probably the highlight that makes me want to go up to work.
Awesome. So, what advice would you give someone interested in studying and working in Australia from your experiences?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things I can talk about there, but I reckon one of the most important thing is being open to learning about new cultures. I think that was the big step for me coming from Indonesia, or not even Indonesia, but coming from a big city kind of point of view in life, and coming out over here where you have to drive 600 kilometers to get to a cattle station or just to meet one person sometimes. It's you just got to be open and learn to learn new cultures and adapt and respect and value those cultures, I think. And the other thing as well is work hard. I think my current boss always tells me to do things not the easy way, but the hard way. So I guess working hard.
Oh, that's great. And then, Pete, you still have a social life here within Australia, don't you? You've got your mates with Hugh and Brooke, our other panelists.
Yes, and I'm very gutted not to be able to have this discussion with them.
Yeah, so I guess, is there anything else you want to let our listeners know before we let you go head out bush so that you can practice some more cows?
I think I get to a bit of the technical side of things. I think since we're talking about the Indonesian Australian Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, I do think there is a lot of platforms and opportunities that will come out from this. And I'm glad you are making these webinars because it really opens up big topics from that agreement. And I reckon in the future, there's a lot of room for Indonesia and Australia to work together more. And that's what the agreement is for. And I think one of the things that I'm hoping to see in the future is, I guess, more scientific research going on within this two partnership. I mean, we're in a situation where you don't get to a unique situation where you can follow an animal from one continent to another, and that just opens up a lot of data, whether it's genetics or nutritional or animal welfare. I think it opens up lots of opportunities there. And also being a vet, I think a bit biased there. I think biosecurity and surveillance, and I know that Indonesia and Australia has been working together to make a national surveillance system in Indonesia, and I think that's another opportunity again for agricultural students both in Australia and in Indonesia to work on. And I guess the other thing that I want to talk about as well, if I have the opportunity, is in Australia, you see a lot of movement of, you got wildland and livestock collectives sharing that story, that beautiful story of how cattle are living in Australia. And I think that's an opportunity in Indonesia as well that we can share. Because I think we talk about animal welfare, but we also forget the human welfare side of things. Those animals that come to Indonesia, there's kind of a downflow effect in people's jobs and people's welfare. For example, when you were trying to maintain an animal's welfare or a cow's welfare to make sure there's shelter, there's food, and there's free of stress and free of diseases, that involves a lot of manpower sharing the same passion. For example, the people that grow feed, sorghum, and the grass, and I think there's a bigger picture that we can share together over there.
Oh, Pete, great to hear your thoughts on that. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we can all achieve under this new agreement. So,
For
thank
sure,
you for your
Steph.
time.
It'll be exciting.
It will be. So, I will let you go. We'll let you get on the road. And
Thank you.
if any participants have any questions for you, I'm sure we can get them in email form for you so that you can respond.
Thank you, Steph. Will do.
All good. Thanks, Pete.
Thank you.
Whoa, how is it? I think it is an interesting video, isn't it? Thank you, Steph, for from your video and you're asking many questions for Peter. It's really it's a bundle of question for Peter and the participant as know the answer from the from Peter. Well, I think here there's Peter's parents. Hi, Opa Hans. Can you mute your audio? Unmute.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for your son is great video and great experience as a cattle veterinary and because I think I got the point. Peter get support from his family because yeah at home also there are fish like many animals in to learn about that.
Yeah,
So
he has a great passion on
great
animals, and I think at least in the past 2 years, yeah, he really are loving with the cattle. I've been trying to get him back to Jakarta, but he loved the cattle better than the cat and dogs.
Yeah, maybe because NT
yeah.
so beautiful countries with the a large land, so it's make no stress there. Yeah.
Well, we used to live in Sydney, so he used to live in Sydney for quite a while. But I was quite surprised that he can adjust the living there, and he likes it. He loves it. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you very much for having.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hans. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you also.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you very much all for having.
Okay.
me.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So we will next to the next keynote speaker for today. For the next keynote speaker is a woman, and she is work in feedlot in Juangjaya Abadi, especially in Lampung, as QA, quality advisor, right, Brick? So, Brick, are you ready for your presentation?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mbath. And can you hear me now?
Yes. Whoa, you can speak Bahasa.
I think Steph wanted to play a video first.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. That.
Yeah, I'll throw that up now.
Oh,
Thanks,
so Steph will be play video. Okay. Nice.
Australian live export has been a key factor in the growth and development of Northern Australia and remains a vital industry for many Australian producers, businesses and families. The trade takes advantage of each country's strengths, Australia having the knowledge and resources to breed and raise cattle to a feeder weight, and importing countries being able to efficiently feedlot cattle through to consumption. Over the past decades, throughout the supply chains, the industry has developed world-leading animal welfare practices. Although it has taken time for people in overseas countries to adjust, through continuous improvement in traceability systems, slaughter practices, and low stress in stock handling, today, Australian live export supply chains are filled with dedicated people who are committed to the best animal welfare and beef production. This is JJAA Indonesia, a feedlot in South Sumatra. There are up to 550 staff working here, most of whom have been working here for 10 to 15 years. The day starts at 5 a.m. when feed is prepared, and they continue to monitor cattle 24 hours a day. Over the past 30 years, the feedlot industry in Indonesia has continuously improved its animal welfare and operational efficiency and developed very skilled management and cattlemen who are dedicated to caring for Australian livestock. Indonesian feedlots are very efficient in their approach to producing beef. Utilizing byproducts, which are the waste products from human food production, environmentally sustainable, safe, and quality beef is produced. The feed is not the only contributing factor. Cattle comfort and low stress handling lead to higher levels of weight gain. And this is something that has been developed and will continue to be developed over time. The cattlemen here consider animal health a top priority. They detect any health issues in the early stages, treat cattle with adequate medicine, and monitor their health periodically. So this is how far they've come, where they are proud to call themselves agents of change for a better livestock supply chain. Meanwhile, economic growth and positive social impacts also continue to grow outside the feedlot area. For every 5 to 10 cattle exported, a family is supported. It is these people's livelihood and their pride to produce safe and fresh beef for Indonesian families.
Oh, you, Brooke.
Great. I'll
Wow,
just
it's
try
good
and
video.
Ooh. Can you see that?
Can't see anything yet, Brooke.
Not yet.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. So first of all, just a little bit about my background and how I've come to be in the pastoral industry and the live export supply chain. I grew up on a family cattle property in southern Queensland where we bred cattle as well as we grew them through to finishing. And I sort of first started in our industry in 2009 when I came to the Northern Territory and was a Jillaroo on pastoral stations up here. Sort of next door to where Hugh is at Beetaloo. Yeah, I was at Newcastle Waters. After that, I went to university and studied international business and management, and then headed to work for CPC again, but this time in their head office as the livestock analyst, sort of in charge of basically all the livestock assets for the company. 4.5 years ago, I moved to Lampung, Indonesia, where I'm the quality assurance manager and I'm, I guess, a part of the senior management team. And I have a very broad role, so I do lots of different things. But basically, I ensure the efficiencies of our business and operations. And to the side there, you can just see a few organisations that I'm involved with. So in the working committee of the Livestock Collective. So it's an organisation focused on giving every person a shared sort of connection and understanding of agriculture, in particularly for our industry, educating, I suppose, people on the different facets of our supply chain and what we do. As well as Wylan, which is a young network of people in our industry with the purpose of creating stronger relationships and building our leaders for the future. And I hope that that's something that we can get more people from the Indonesian side involved with as well in the years to come. Lastly, I'm a 2020 Nuffield Scholar, and my research topic for Nuffield is basically the sustainability of our industry. So future market trends, as well as the socio-economic impacts of our industry in importing countries. So all the people supported in our supply chain, not just in Indonesia, but actually around the world. So here we have a map of Indonesia and the sort of proportion of cattle and where they're located. And as you can see, the red circles is where all the feedlots are mostly located and Rumah Potong Hewan. And the blue circles are areas that produce more cattle than there is demand. So the red stars are where the feedlots are located. So we've got obviously in Jakarta area, like West Java, Sumatra, and then North Sumatra. And the feedlots in Java have very good access to the West Java market, but their costs are a bit higher than the feedlots in Sumatra. In Lampung, we're a massive agricultural province, so we have access to lots of good byproducts. And you know, the land and other costs are probably a little bit cheaper as well, but we still have access to the Java market as well as the Sumatra market. So our company, JJAA, has a feedlot in South Sumatra, Lampung, and also in North Sumatra, Medan, and I work between the two feedlots. Down the bottom there, we've got a bit of a breakdown of where the different beef sources come from. So 69% from local cattle, 13% from Australian live cattle from our industry, 10% from Australian box beef, and 8% from Indian buffalo meat. Now, these statistics are from 2017. So Brazilian beef has also entered the market since then, and the percentages may have shifted slightly. For how demand might increase in the future is that if every Indonesian ate 5 more servings of bakso per day, then that would be 300,000 head of live cattle demand from Australia, more than we do. I'll just go through this quickly and go into, we discharge from the port in Indonesia, and it goes into the feedlot. Sorry, the cattle go into the feedlot where they are for 120 days. We sell to our customer, who then, sometimes our customers might own a processing facility, or sometimes they custom process in somebody else's facility. It just depends on their business structure. And after the processing facility, they go straight to the beef from there goes straight to the wet market. And then, of course, to the consumer from various different people who are turning that beef into food. So that could be, of course, all the many vendors, small vendors of food sales as well. Throughout our supply chain from discharge to the processing facilities in Indonesia, we are under SGAS, which is the Exporter Supply Chain Assurance System. And that is basically the traceability of an animal from the registered premises or export yard in Australia to the processing facility in Indonesia. And it's tracked through an ear tag in the animal's ear that has RFID frequency, and it means that we can track that animal through each part of the supply chain and know where our animals are. We also have world-leading animal welfare standards. So at the feedlot, so this is our process at the feedlot. So on discharge, we unload cattle into 16 head of cattle into one truck at a time. So unloading a large ship of 3,000 head of cattle can take some time, but everybody has a process down and it's very efficient. The cattle then come into the feedlot. Their RFID tag is scanned so that we know exactly which cattle have arrived, and they're put onto fresh feed for 2 to 5 days so that they can just rest and recover. After they've rested and recovered, we'll then bring them into the cattle yards and put them through the crush for induction. And at induction, we will sort of draft them into 3 different groups based on weight and record traits about each animal. So breed, body score, age, details like that. Sometimes we reweigh the cattle throughout the feeding period and then we sell to customer. And there's some nice finished cattle in that photo on the end there. So as I said before, we normally feed for about 120 days. And throughout this process, we have an animal health and welfare system in place to ensure that cattle are treated at all times. So here's a bit of a rundown of our cattle specification. So as an importer, this is what we're looking for the exporters to bring over on the boat. So we want 50% Brahman content in our cattle and a slick coat. So slick coat means short hair and soft hair. So it needs to be able to acclimatize to the Indonesian tropical environment. And the cattle traits that are ideal for feedlot performance, we would like the frame of the animal to be medium to large size and 320 to 330 kilos and not too fat. So body score about 3 out of 5 and the age 0 to 2 teeth. And as Pete talked about, we also need the heifers preg tested empty. Because if they're pregnant without being on special breeder protocol, there's a welfare risk as well as a very high cost in the feedlot. And we also get a discount at sales if we have any dog bites or missing tails or ears from our animals. So in a little bit more detail, our animal welfare system at the feedlot. So number 1 is obviously that we have a constant supply of fresh feed and water. We have nutritionists. I think Isan is on the call. He's our Indonesian nutritionist. And then we also work with an Australian nutritionist to formulate balanced rations, low stress stock handling at all times. So, and we have a really skilled, and I'm sure all of the feedlots in Indonesia have very skilled stockmen and frequent training as well for those new staff coming along to ensure that they understand low stress stock handling. And that comes into our animal health program as well. We have a vet to oversee each of the feedlots and a very experienced team of animal health stockmen who know all the treatments and know what to look for any sick animals. And they work in 3 shifts for 24 hours a day. So even at nighttime, they are checking the cattle. So once they check the cattle, they then select the cattle from the pen and they bring them into the hospital where they're treated and they remain in the hospital until they've fully recovered. We also have cattle bedding in the bottom of trucks, in the cattle yards and in our pens to ensure that the cattle have lots of comfort, that they can't rub their feet on anything and that basically if they're more comfortable in their pens, we will see higher weight gains from them. So this is sort of the key performance indicators of the feedlot and what leads to good performance. So handling and condition, we just spoke about low stress stock handling and the sick cattle treatment and cleaning, and that comes with the bedding in the pens, but also sort of pen density, how many cattle you have in the pen and they have enough space to be able to lie down and ruminate, as well as climatic conditions, which we can't really influence. But during the hot times or raining times in the feedlot, you will notice that the performance will be decreased. Rations, so we want the best quality commodities, but in Indonesia that can be quite difficult sometimes because the nutrition in your commodities can vary quite a lot because a lot of them are from byproducts, as well as the dry matter. So how much moisture versus how much of nutritional value is in your feed. And because there is a lot of rain, that means that dry matter is very variable, as well as ration formulation. So that comes back to our nutritionist again. And then of course the cattle type. So what station are the cattle from in Australia? And were they on a good plan of nutrition before they came here, or were they in a drought? That all impacts how they perform in the feedlot, as well as genetics and breed, frame, age, condition, and temperament. And then our feed management. So allocating feed, so how much feed we're giving to animals each day, loading and mixing in. So when you're loading commodities into the mixer, you want to make sure you have the right amount that is needed for your rations, and that your mixer is delivering the right amount of feed that you allocated to each cattle that day, and that it's all along the bunk. So this ultimately leads to, our performance indicators, which is, how many kilos a day the cattle are gaining, how efficient they are in gaining a kilo. So feed conversion is how many kilos of feed did the animal consume to produce a kilo of beef. And feed costs, which comes down to, a balanced ration between sort of costs and performance, as well as days on feed. So Brahman cattle, they are at their peak of performance at about 70 or 80 days. So you have to manage your days on feed with your rations to ensure that your cattle are still having good carcass yield, which is my last KPI on there, because that's our key customer requirement, is a lean carcass and a good carcass yield. And all that comes back to cost of gain. So how much it costs us in the feedlot to gain a kilo of beef. Just a little bit more on our commodities. So as I said before, we utilize byproducts from human food production. So from corn, cassava, coconut, palm, and rice. And these almost all come in bags, and they're of all different qualities and standards. So we have a really rigid QC system around our commodities, and to ensure that, every truck is checked and every layer of every truck is checked. And we do hand QC, and also we do laboratory tests on our feed commodities. And we're constantly adapting our ration based on what supply is available, the price, and the nutritional content. So there's some of our main commodities up the top there. So we have corn, and all of our corn is harvested by hand and planted by hand. And it's our main roughage source, and it gets chopped up, as you can see up the top there. And our main energy source is from cassava, which is down the bottom, in the source of straight tapioca chips, like on the right, as well as ongok, so from the waste from tapioca flour production.
Hey, Brooke, we have 3 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So customer specifications. So daily sales orders with no lock-in contracts, and the specifications our customer wants changes. So they might want a different type of cattle, but at the end of the day, their key requirement is carcass yield, meat yield, and a low fat content. So to the processing facility after the feedlot, or rumah potong hewan. So the SCAS follows the animal all the way through to the rumah potong hewan, and the traceability, continues there. And our animal welfare officers in the facility, they scan the tag there as well to ensure that the animal has gone to the correct facility. And we have internal and external audits of all these facilities, to make sure internally ourselves, we're happy with all of our facilities in our supply chain. And we also have someone else come in and check to just make sure that, there's nothing else that we missed in our internal audits. Whilst they're at the feedlot, at the processing facility, all of our animal welfare officers ensure that there's low stress stock handling, and that all cattle are processed correctly under SCAS regulations. So that's, the correct stunning and the correct handling of cattle everywhere in that facility. And then wet market and the consumer, and I'm sure that most of you on here are the consumer, but I think the competitive advantage of Australian live beef in Indonesia, it's in line with culture and religion. Fresh in Indonesia means safe. So fresh from the wet market, eaten the next day. I think it's 50% of Indonesians will eat the meat that they buy that day. as well as halal and by the local Indonesian butcher. I think that there's a lot of trust there and long-term relationships. And I think a taste preference is also a really big thing, including offal and cooking yield. So I think from frozen beef, if you cook 1 kilo of frozen beef, it will cook you half a plate of rendang. But if you cook 1 kilo of fresh beef, then it will make you 1 plate of rendang. So that's what I hear. And of course, the technology. So all of the beef that goes into bakso balls, which I think is about 60%, all the small producers of bakso don't have the technology that's needed to produce the bakso balls from box beef, as well as a lot of households not having refrigeration.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to, Pete mentioned some of these things. Sorry, but can I just finish this slide? Tin, do we have time?
It's okay. Yeah, it's okay.
But just to finish off, I think our industry supports thousands of people in the supply chain in Indonesia. Our business alone supports 12,000 families. And that's, one of the main reasons why I chose to do a Nuffield topic on the research that I'm doing. And I think it's also a vital market for the Australian cattle producers and supports the Australian economy and lots of jobs here in Australia as well. And most of all, it provides Indonesia with fresh, safe beef that's in line with your values. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome. Wow, it's a great presentation, Rick. And I didn't know that you use a lot of time in Indonesia, and I think you like in Indonesia, right?
Not right now.
Yeah, maybe now you are.
Conference in March. Yeah, I'm in Australia at the moment. Very sad.
Yeah, but you a lot of working before pandemic, maybe in Indonesia with your staff in Lampung. Okay. So everyone, we have get from our keynote speaker from Hugh and the videos from Peters, and also presenting from Rick. So I remind to all of you, if you want to ask, please type the question in Zoom group chat and mention your name, where you come from, and what question you intend to ask. Okay, so everyone, because I got information, Hugh will have the other activity. So that's great. Hi Hugh, are you here?
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
Okay, so we entering in a Q&A session. So for the participant, yes, if you want to ask directly to keynote speaker, you can unmute your video and audio. Okay, for Hugh, there's a question in a group chat from Adita Haq, and the question is, with the AI SIPA in the force, has the Australian red meat industry benefit more lately? Okay, you.
Yeah, so I think so again, where my involvement is, I'm on farm. So as a producer, we've definitely seen an increased demand in particularly male cattle, and I think that's probably come as there's been a relaxed agreement on how many female cattle have to be brought in with male cattle. So that's definitely been quite an advantage for producers, making our males more attractive.
Okay, good. So, anyone want to ask to Hugh directly? If you wanna bridge. So, Hugh, hi. There's a question for me. It's like, wait a minute. I open my question. Well, so There's a question for me to you, Hugh. Maybe Steph, I'm telling your question with you when you ask to Peter. So Hugh, what is your career highlight as a head stockman in Northern Territory? Your highlight, your career highlight.
Yeah, so, and it's probably something I should have touched on in my presentation. Also, I wasn't really sure where I was going with it, but I think the really enjoyable thing for me. So I work in a team we were a really young team. I'm the eldest, and I'm only 22. So again, our herd's 8,000 head. We have to process them every year. It's a seasonal job. So orchestrating a team of 7 other individuals, all around 20 years of age, it's incredible to watch. You know, we really pride ourselves on our low stress stock handling, and I suppose in the supply chain that really starts with us on farm. You know, as soon as that calf hits the ground, we sort of start that low stress stock handling in place, so that when it gets to Brooks End, the fundamentals are already there. So to be involved with that as early in the supply chain, and then to see it go over there, that's something that I really get a kick out of.
Okay, thank you. So I think I will check first in the chat book. There's any question for you. If no, okay. Anyone audience want to ask directly to Hugh? If no, there's the last question for me. What advice what you give to our audience here, or young people in Indonesia and Australia, who wants to be involved in supply chains, cattle supply chains? What your advice for our audience here and young people between Indonesia and Australia to be involved in cattle supply chains?
Yeah, so I'd definitely suggest sort of getting quite curious about it. We've got, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Livestock Collective. So the Livestock Collective is an organisation that was started here in Australia that sort of makes the supply chain almost transparent. So you can look at everything that happens from there. And I think, you know, once you sort of start seeing that and get a bit more of an idea, it just triggers a lot of curiosity and I guess opportunities flowing from there. You know, to look at my own experience, the first images I saw were around 2011, and they were quite horrific. But it was enough to trigger that curiosity, and then I sort of started looking into it and saw the really positive stories that were coming out of live export, and then found that, you know, I could quite easily get a job on a cattle station, and then from a cattle station I could go into an export yard or eventually get overseas, as Brooke has done. So I think it just starts with being a little bit curious and making that first step, and then, you know, from there it's there's endless opportunities.
Oh, it's good perspective. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe before we go into the break for Brooke the question, we will, because I got information, you will leave first, Hugh.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, I got information if you will live in the Zoom in 10:30, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Before you leave our room, we will to take a photo group. Hilman and Salma, can you help to organize a photo group? Hilman and Salma.
Okay. Please, for all participants, can on your video first. Okay, for the first page. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay. Next page, page 2. 1, 2, 3. Keep smile. Okay. Page 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Last. Okay, finish.
Okay, thank you, Hilman. Okay, well, uh, there's question all again for group Dawson from Berta. Do you still have time to answer the question? How many Bitalo bulls can be exported to Indonesia for each year?
Yeah, so I suppose that comes back to how many we can breed. So as I said before, we're sort of capable at the moment of producing anywhere from 15,000 to 18,000 calves per year. And the sort of breakdown from that, usually it's 50% females, 50% bulls. So we can sort of expect 7,500 to 8,000 male cattle a year. Sorry, 9,000 male cattle a year. This year we would have sold, to be close to, about 7,500 bulls went to Indonesia this year. So as we continue to get more efficient in our breeding, that'll obviously open up a lot more. We've got a goal, a 5-year goal to be branding 25,000 calves a year. So obviously, there's a significant increase in how many cattle are available for sale. It's taking us at the moment about 3 years to get a saleable animal from the time it's born. So, the ISCPA, I think, in 5 years' time, the quota's been increased to 700,000 head. So there's a huge demand there, and that's something that's quite exciting as a producer, that there is that little bit of security, and from a breeding point of view, it means that we can continue to improve what we're doing and continue to adapt and be suited to the market. So it's forever a changing circumstance.
Okay, thank you so much. So you after now, this time you will next agenda. You have the other agenda now?
Oh no, we had a little change in plans, so I can stick around for a bit longer if anyone does have any more questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. So next question for Brooke. There's many question for Brooke because I think it's really great representation. And many audience ask how they can could they get the presentation materials, Brooke?
What was that? Sorry, can they get the presentation materials?
Yeah, the materials for your presentation for the audience here to share.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question for, wait, I check first. Yes, for Henry NZ, for Brooke, do you believe there is opportunity to supply live cattle to non-Islamic countries?
Hi, Henry. Yes, I do think that there's opportunity. Do you mean from Indonesia or from Australia?
Not
Australia to
yeah.
Indonesia to another country, or Australia actually already exports to non-Islamic countries. So Vietnam has actually is just a growing market for Australian live cattle. And I'm sure that there's some other Southeast Asian markets that we might see some demand from live cattle from Australia for it in the coming years as well.
Okay. And next question is from Yesita Vera Saraswati. How does the selling market for live cattle run is the pandemic situation? How does the selling maybe is because this pandemic situation, and maybe they're curious about how the way for the live cattle run in this pandemic situation to selling in the market?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting. We were all very uncertain in the beginning of the pandemic we were concerned that people would not want to be eating beef as much, and that our demand for our cattle would decline. But in the beginning, the Australian live cattle price went from $3.80 to $2.60 when no one was sure of how the pandemic would affect the market in Indonesia. And then we had a lot of trouble getting a lot of commodities out of commodities that come via China from America and other countries. So that was quite difficult for our feeding. We couldn't get some of the normal commodities that we feed. But market-wise, actually the market has been quite strong. Through Lebaran, you know, there was not much Indian buffalo meat in the market, and therefore live cattle, there was higher demand for live cattle. So our sales have actually been quite good considering the global pandemic. But in red spot areas like Medan, it has been quite difficult. And, you know, Jakarta, and over the last month where there has been lockdowns, it has also made beef sales more difficult. But in other markets in Java that are not locked down, then it's been quite strong.
Yes. Yes, so this pandemic very challenge for us, right?
Yes.
Okay. The next question is for Helmi Abdurrahim Perberg. How's the pandemic? Maybe it's similar like the previous. How has the pandemic affected in the cattle industry, and what do you see in the future?
Well, yeah, I did just explain some of that. I think the other thing is for our feedlots to have to be so prepared in all their preparations for ensuring, you know, the safety of all of our staff. So protective clothing, you know, and we have so many people coming in and out of the feedlots every day, just ensuring that the hygiene's there and that the protocols are followed correctly. And, you know, there's a massive risk, I suppose, that if there was coronavirus in the feedlot, what we would do, you know, we have responsibility to care for 20,000 animals. So yeah, we just have to make sure that we do as much as we can to prevent that from happening.
Okay, thank you, Brooke, for the answer. So everyone, if anyone wants to ask to Brooke directly, just raise your hand in share screen in the Zoom. Anyone to ask directly? Well, because maybe they are still busy to typing the question or still create the question for you, Brooke. Maybe there's a question for me. There's a good point about you explained and presented about your role in GJAA feedlot and also work with Indonesian. So I think so it is a hard difficult work in feedlot or cattle industry for you as you are a woman.
Oh, no, it's not.
No,
I don't. No, I don't think that it is, to be honest. There's been lots of very great men who are mentors that have helped me a lot. Pa Dicky, Pa Greg, Pa Troy, and Pa Willie, who's the general manager of Jurong Jaya. And all of our team at Jurong Jaya, I think, yeah, it hasn't been difficult being a woman working with them. We have a lot of, our ratio to men to female is obviously there's a lot more men in the feedlot, but we also have a lot of staff as well. And most of them are in management positions, and they're all great to work with. So.
Okay. Thank you so much. So it's no problem for women who work in cattle industry. So everyone is because maybe there's still question I think from Astari. Bruce, since 6 animal cost a lot of money, how long do you keep them? This question.
Sorry, we try to probably do a minimum of 2 treatments for the animal. It depends what the sickness is, I suppose, and whether they're going to recover from that. And hopefully, most of the time they do. If they're pulled from the pen, you know, as soon as they're detected with their symptoms of being sick, then they should be able to get treated straight away and then recover.
Okay, so sorry, can you get it the answer? So everyone, because I think no any question more, and also wait a minute. Thank you, Brooke. Say sorry. Okay, everyone, we will arrive in the end of our webinar today. I say thank you so much for all the participants who joined today. I hope all of you get a lot of information, and for our keynote speaker and our topic also about the red meat and cattle supply chain is really from the Hugh Dawson is such a young man work in large land in Beetle Station and to be head stockman, and he managed the staff to work in Beetle Station is really and make sure about the cattle have a good condition to selling to imported countries like Indonesia and the other countries. And then from for Peter Nugroho, we got some information how he can work in NT because he's interesting about the animal, and he really good good penalty for us, such a young woman, such a young people, to more develop our experience and also knowledge in everywhere, especially in about the cattle industry, and in this agreement about EACPA. And from the Brook we can get really about feedlot life, how the feedlot of the company or feedlot is managed their company, and make sure the cattle give the good animal welfare and animal health also. And the corporate of a good team is bring the feedlot can still exist although in pandemic situation. So everyone, thank you so much for your time to join this webinar. If you want to still read courses about our information, you can join in our web or in Brooks media social, or like Hugh doesn't have Instagram, and Brooke also maybe if you want to chat them, yeah, you just so Hugh and Brooke, if any audience here and text you in media social by Instagram or by email, is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Right. So so everyone, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for Hugh Dawson for to be keynote speaker today, for Brooke, and for Stephanie. Thank you so much for today, and Kang Robi also, and TBC Indonesia, and also NTCA bring this webinar today with a great keynote speaker who are professional and also the experienced people. So everyone, don't forget to keep physical distancing, washing hand, and wearing mask if you go everywhere, because we're still in pandemic situation. And maybe I'm Martin. Thank you so much for everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much, Emily.
The NT cattle industry is about more than just the cattle. Lots of Territorians directly and indirectly rely on the cattle industry. The cattle industry drives the economy and spans the entire Northern Territory, all 1.4 million square kilometres of it. That takes a lot of committed people, including all our regional centres, and covers a lot of open ground. Our regions are the lifeblood of the Territory, and they rely on the cattle industry. You could say a lot goes into producing a good steak.
Oh, I think here, Helen, can you lower the sounds?
I fly the
There's-
helicopter.
I run the book.
There's Rohan Sullivan. Hi, Rohan.
The NT cattle industry is worth one.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. How are you going?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good to see. Good to see so many people that I know there.
I think here is many alumni of NIAP. Maybe you want to say hello to you because I just checked the slide and there's you here. Thank you so much for joining today. Yeah, so many alumni here. Maybe they want to say hello to you. So for the alumni NIAP, if you want to say hello to Rohan, yeah, just unmute your audio and video. So who wants to say hello to Rohan?
Hello, Mr.
Rohan.
Hello.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to see so many names that I know, and NIAP students and Cave Creek students.
Yeah.
It's good to see you all.
Yeah, see you. Maybe we meet in the last year, right? In NTCA reunion last week, last year.
Yes, that's right. And Irfan said we should just do webinars instead of having meetings in Jakarta, but I think meetings in Jakarta are much better.
Yeah. So, any alumni want to say hello to Rohan here? So, how about in your in NT? There's about the pandemic. It's a safe.
Who was that? Was that Joe?
How was it going in Cave Creek crew? All there.
Oh, that's very
really
hot.
amazing to see you here.
Yeah, it's very hot here at the moment. Still no rain, so we're still waiting.
Okay.
And for those of you who know, Uncle Jeffrey's been in hospital with his hand was broken. His hand got caught in a gate not on our station, on a different station. So Uncle Jeffrey